batteries need warmth. During the winter months, it's important to keep your scooter's batteries at room temperature. If you don't remove the batteries and bring them indoors, use a heater set to low heat, perhaps under a tarp even, to keep them at room temperature. This will prolong your battery's life. Okay, so step one in getting at the battery compartment is put the arm flaps down, keep your steering straight, open up the back hatch, lift that up. Now I always remove the key just so I don't forget about it. Throw it in the glove box. Step two is turn off the circuit breaker. To the right is the off position. To turn it back on is to the left position. Step three, undo the 4 bolts. Don't worry that taking these out will let the locking mechanism fall. It's bolted on separately. So the 4 bolts in the basket that you have to remove to get to the battery compartment are all the same size. So they are metric bolts, and they're actually 6mm diameter, and the thread size is 1.25 if you ever needed to replace them. And they measure 1 centimeter across. The length of these 4 bolts are all the same. They're 16mm. Really, when taking out those bolts, you can use a metric number 10 wrench. You can use a crescent wrench. You can use this wrench. You can use whatever you want. Even one of these little guys with the appropriate size on it will work fine. I prefer to make life easy and use a 1 centimeter socket on a drill. So I'm using my socket wrench and a drill. Back these off. And I just throw that in the back. See that each one has a washer. And I back these ones out as well. When taking the batteries out from this stage, you'll only need 3 tools: the socket wrench, a Phillips screwdriver, and a flathead. You just need the flathead to pop the battery post covers off. Now the first thing we notice when we pull out the battery tray, you just give this a little wiggle, is that there's a very short wire. You see, you can feel that you don't want to rip that right out. And the reason for that is that the positive lead here going to this battery over here is quite short. So an easy way to get around that is to actually dismount it with the simple use of a Phillips screwdriver into this hole here. You'll see there's a screw in here, and that clamps down that wire. The other one goes to the negative lead. But if I just get my Phillips screwdriver in there and give it a couple of turns, 1, 2, 3, 2 or 3 turns, you'll see that wire has now come out. I'm going to show that to you. The wire is like that now. It's come out. You see I've turned off the circuit breaker. Now that lead goes into this hole here. So as I turn this, you can see how that clamps down on the lead there. The lead wire goes right in that little hole when you put it back together. Now that I've removed the battery wire, I can swing the basket right around like this, out of the way. Now inside you can see there's a T-bar here that is held down by a bolt here and a bolt over here. So we're going to pull those out. Now they are the same head size as the other 4 bolts, but they're a little bit longer. Now again, I could use a number 10, or I could use my socket to release those nuts. So I'm just going to use this. It's a lot faster. There we go. And you can see those 2 there are a bit longer. Okay, so they are actually 20mm. And we simply lift out this rod, and there you can see it's just a little metal rod. Now you can see here the sequence: battery 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 batteries. And basically this one goes to red to black, black to red, black to red, black to red, black to red, black to body. So what I do is use this screwdriver to pop up the cap. You see that? There's a waterproof seal in there. Okay? So I'm just going to remove all the positive leads from here for now so I can get the batteries out. Because when you're just storing them for the winter, you don't need to take both wires off. Okay? You really just need to take off one or the other. So I've now removed, using the screwdriver tip, I've just put that in like that, and I'm going to show you in a second what that looks like when I remove the first battery. Now I recommend using a hand screwdriver, not the drill, because they're kind of fragile screws, and you don't want to ruin the threading on them. And I put the screws back in, just so I don't lose them. You'll notice this one has a fuse on it. The fuse can be placed anywhere in the sequence, and it's just a surge fuse, so that if there was ever a power surge, it would break the little brass wire in there, rather than give a charge to an over voltage to the battery. This, by the way, is just a connector, and it comes apart if you ever needed it to, and it's just a connector. It's not a fuse. It just connects the charger input port to the rest of the body of the electrical of the scooter. Now this one's important. This black wire here goes to the rest of the scooter, so you got to take that one out for sure to separate that. And again, I'm just lifting up that tip, that cover, like that, to expose the screw so I can get at it. Don't worry about getting a shock. That would only be if you touched both the positive and negative posts at the same time. Okay, now since I've taken that one off, I'm just going to take this black one off as well. Now I can see this battery's free. This one's free to travel. The middle one's free. This one's free. They're all free. So now to pull them out, what I usually do is start on the right side, and I just give it a little tilt. You see, you got to be careful not to damage these though, you see. You have to be very careful when you're lifting these out to not damage the other wires. So in this case, I can see that black wire is in the way. I'm going to remove it. Okay, so now we're just going to lift the batteries out one at a time. Let's get a little corner. Usually get a good lift on. They're not that heavy. They're about 7 pounds each. Okay, so let's pull that out. Start with this middle one. And out they come. It's that easy. Then what you can do for the winter is pull this out, drop it back inside. The T-bar fits right inside, and close it up for the winter.
Take your batteries indoors. During the winter months, every 2 months you should fully charge the 5 batteries in your scooter. Every month, batteries lose about 10 to 20% of their charge even while sitting in warm storage.